What's up guys, and welcome back to another What If, and today we will be continuing What If Ash and Red Were Twins. I hope you guys enjoyed this and future parts to come. So yeah, remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and let's get on to the video. Heading down Route 5, the gang encounter an unofficial gym ran by someone called AJ. Ash challenges him to a battle after hearing how cocky AJ is about this being his 99th victory. He's so cocky that he lets Ash use 3 Pokemon against his 1 Pokemon. Ash's first Pokemon is Clefairy, and Ash quickly realizes that AJ really wasn't bluffing, as his Sandshrew tanks a couple of Moonblasts from Clefairy like if they were nothing. And even when Clefairy gets Bubble Beam via Metronome, Sandshrew just tanks it. Clefairy is ultimately taken out by a Fissure. Ash is really pissed about this, so he sends out a Squirtle thinking that the type advantage would be more than enough to defeat the Sandshrew. And he's kinda right, as Squirtle is putting up a decent fight against Sandshrew. However, when AJ starts taunting the Squirtle about being weak, he stops listening to Ash. This causes Squirtle's downfall as it's ultimately taken out. And Ash's final mon is his Caterpie. Caterpie tries his best, but nothing's really working. Not even String Shot, as apparently this Sandshrew can just break right through it. As Caterpie's getting hit by dig after dig, a hint of sadness comes across his face, as Caterpie thinks to himself that he'll never accomplish his dreams of becoming a powerful Butterfree, as it's had a pretty bad performance at the gyms. Caterpie is left barely standing, as it is thinking of just giving up. But over the sadness, he hears Ash still cheering him on. Realizing his trainer hasn't given up on him, Caterpie forces its evolution. Ash is still pretty shocked about this, but orders a tackle. However, Metapod just stands there staring at Sandshrew. Instead of tackling, it just hardens. Sandshrew throws everything it's got at Metapod, who just stands there and takes it. Metapod's able to stall long enough for Sandshrew to run out of energy and collapse. Therefore, Ash is declared the winner. Ash is so overjoyed that when he goes to hug Metapod, he doesn't hear AJ pissed off claiming that Ash ruined his streak and now he has to redo it. With no more business here, the gang just leave. Unfortunately for AJ, with one of his strongest Pokemon not able to battle, it's easy pickings for Team Rocket to show up and take his Sandshrew. Misty then encounters an Oddish that she ends up catching. Shortly after this, they encounter a Charmander laying on a rock. And yes, this is where the events of the Charmander episode take place. However, it's not Ash who gets the Charmander in this timeline, it's actually Brock, as both Red and Misty comes to the conclusion that Brock would be a better trainer for it. Shortly after this, we have the Squirtle Squad episode, and this still plays out the same, however it's Misty who takes the role of Ash and ends up getting Squirtle. At this point, Red is feeling that he needs to catch something since everybody else has caught something, and his brother isn't far behind. Red ends up finding and capturing an Eevee. Meanwhile, Ash ends up encountering a sleeping Abra that he wants to catch. However, whenever he tosses a Pokeball, the Abra teleports out of the way. Ash ends up spending 20 Pokeballs before he actually catches the damn thing. With these new captures in hand, they finally arrive at Vermilion City, where the gang heads straight to the Pokemon Center. It's here that they find out how intense the gym is in Vermilion City, with dozens of trainers holding their injured Pokemon. The sight of all these injured Pokemon make them worry, but more than anything, it pisses them off, especially Misty and Brock. They know gym battles can get pretty intense, but to injure Pokemon this badly is on a whole nother level. So after getting their own Pokemon healed up, they make their way to the gym. This time, when Surge asks who's gonna challenge him, both Ash and Red step up. This shocks Ash, Misty, and Brock, as Red hasn't challenged any gyms before this. So when Red basically demands he goes first, Ash just lets him. They begin by sending out Electrode and Kakuna. Surge begins to mock it for not being a fully evolved Pokemon. Red tells him that it really doesn't matter whether Kakuna is fully evolved or not. Kakuna then goes for a Poison Sting, which Electrode's able to dodge. The upside down Pokeball then goes for a Thunderbolt that does hit Kakuna, but it shakes it off and gets ready to battle one more time. Electrode Electro then goes for another Thunderbolt, but this time Kakuna is able to barely dodge it by using String Shot to attach itself to the ceiling. It then starts shooting out more string shots that are attached to the ceiling that allows it to move around the stage without touching the ground. And when the timing is right, it falls down and hits Electro with Poison Sting, then goes back to the roof. This goes back and forth for a bit until Kakuna is the only one left. Surge's second Pokemon is his Jolteon. Surge mentions that Jolteon is his fastest Pokemon, and even with String Shot slowing Jolteon down quite a bit, it still takes out Kakuna. Red's second Mon is Eevee, which causes Surge to chuckle and tell Red that this is no time for jokes. This gives Red a confused look, and Surge tries to hold back his laughter as he says that he must really not want to win this if he's just gonna use unevolved Pokemon. This angers Ash with him asking what's wrong with using unevolved Pokemon. Surge just gives him a cocky smile that causes Ash to get infuriated. Ash is about to get up there and throw hands, however Red stops him, saying that he'll make sure he eats those words. Eevee begins with a Swift while Jolteon counters it with a Thunder. Eevee then goes for a tackle, but Jolteon retaliates with a Thunder Fang. Unfortunately for Red, Jolteon is just too fast. While Eevee does get some hits in, the fight is mostly Eevee just getting beat up. Ultimately, Eevee is defeated, which saddens Red. However, he still has his final Pokemon, and probably his strongest, Charmander. During the battle, Charmander actually evolves into Charmeleon, which allows it to just barely scrape by a win. This means by the time Surge's final Pokemon, Raichu, comes out, it's pretty much out of energy. Charmeleon tries to put up its best fight, but its energy is pretty much gone. It really can't do anything. Ending with Charmeleon being taken out by a Mega Kick to the gut. Red tips his hat down as he recalls Charmeleon, with Surge stating that those babies sure put up one hell of a fight. Red silently walks back to his friends as they try to comfort him. However, Red says nothing as Ash steps up to the battlefield. Surge confidently says that he hopes he didn't bring any weak Pokemon like that other guy. Ash states that guy is his brother and Red's Pokemon aren't weak. Surge chuckles as he brings out Magneton, telling him to bring it on. Ash then brings out his Clefairy. Ash has to rely on a lot of luck here as Clefairy's only attacking moves are Moonblast and technically Metronome. Thankfully, Metronome gives it a Leech Seed, which allows Clefairy to stall out the Magnet Pokemon. It takes quite a few Moonblasts and a couple of moves from Metronome, but Clefairy's ultimately able to defeat Magneton, much to Surge's dismay, who sends out an Electabuzz. It proves to be far stronger as it tanks anything that Clefairy throws at it. Electabuzz ultimately gets the win when Clefairy uses Moonblast, and it reflects it with a Fire Punch. As Ash is deciding what Mon to use next, Squirtle lets itself out of its Pokeball, dancing around. Ash is unsure if he wants to even use Squirtle in this fight, however it refuses to return. So Ash decides to keep Squirtle in, and using its sweet dance move, it's able to dodge attacks for a bit. Unfortunately for Squirtle, Surge is able to break its rhythm, and it ends up getting paralyzed. Because of this, Ash decides to recall it for the time being. His third Mon is Abra, and Ash orders it to use Psychic, however it doesn't listen to him. Ash repeatedly asks Abra to attack or do something, but the Pokemon just floats there doing nothing. It takes a moment, but Brock realizes that it's currently snoozing, and that's why it won't listen. Ash tries to wake it up, however it's a no-go, and Surge, getting a little impatient, orders for Electabuzz to use Brick Break. As Electabuzz is about to hit Abra, it teleports a few feet away. Surge then orders another one with the same result. They then switch it up and try Thunderbolt, and the same thing happens. So Surge just orders him to use Thunderbolt until it connects. Eventually, at one point, the Thunderbolt does hit, waking up Abra, and oh my god, is it pissed as it uses Psychic to throw Electabuzz around the battlefield. It slams Electabuzz into the ground, the walls, and the ceiling multiple times. It then grabs Electabuzz and teleports him to the ceiling, watching it fall to the floor. Electabuzz does not get up after that, forcing Surge to recall it and send out his final Pokemon, Ampharos, who starts by using Focus Punch, which does land, but it's not very effective against Abra. It then starts throwing Ampharos around using Psychic again. However, this time Ampharos is able to stop it when it manages to land a Discharge Charge midair. Ampharos then begins to use the move Charge, and after hearing what this move does from Brock, he tells Abra to use Bide. So for a bit, it's just both Pokemon staring each other down, until eventually Ampharos unleashes a massive Zap Cannon. Abra has to just sit there and take it. So once Ampharos is done, Abra unleashes his attack. After both attacks are said and done, Abra seems pretty much fine for the most part, while Ampharos is struggling to get up. Ash orders Abra to use Psychic to finish it off, however the cat-like Pokemon doesn't listen. It takes a second for them to realize that Abra has fallen asleep again, and they're back to Ampharos trying to hit Abra but can't because it keeps teleporting away. Realizing that this is going nowhere, Ash decides to recall it for good. Ash's final mon is his paralyzed Squirtle, who is ready to battle. By now, Surge is already tired of this, so he wants to finish this with a bang, ordering his Ampharos to use Charge. Ash once again plays into this, asking Squirtle to use Withdraw. Squirtle looks at him like Ash has gone crazy since they have an opening right now. Ash tells his partner to trust him, he's got an idea. Squirtle, however, just thinks Ash has gone crazy and tries to run at Ampharos, but he is stopped dead in his tracks by paralysis. So despite his anger, Squirtle listens to Ash, retreating into its shell. It becomes a waiting game as Ampharos charges up while Squirtle lies in wait. Eventually, the lieutenant orders a Zap Cannon while Ash tells Squirtle to use Water Gun from inside its shell, allowing it to glide across the floor. This shell bounces from wall to wall, narrowly missing the Zap Cannon a couple of times. After Ampharos is done, Squirtle bashes into it and pops out of its shell, creating a ball of water and finishing Ampharos off for good. Once it's declared the winner, Squirtle starts to dance, but it's stopped once Squirtle begins glowing white and evolves into a War Turtle. Ash hugs it with Misty and Brock coming in shortly after him. Red just gives his brother a silent thumbs up, and after Ash is given the Thunder Badge, they head to the Pokemon Center. After the Pokemon are all healed up, Red suggests that they should get a move on so they can get an early start. Everyone's baffled as he doesn't even want to re-challenge the gym, but Red says it's fine, he'll challenge the next one. None of them are really okay with this, with Ash stepping up saying that Red didn't let him quit when he first lost to Brock, so he for sure isn't letting Red just give up. They're gonna train their asses off until they can beat Surge. Red perks up saying that Ash is right, and he can't fall behind his little brother, so for the next 3 days the boys train to defeat Surge. Meanwhile, Brock ends up helping a cute teacher in a nearby school where he teaches the students about how to care for their Pokemon and what the job of a Pokemon breeder really is. Misty ends up getting roped into some business with the Pokemon fan club, where our Team Rocket trio tries to take away some of the fan club's Pokemon. However, Misty puts a stop to that, with the chairman so happy that she saved their Pokemon. Not only does he give her honorary status as a member, he gives her this really pretty crystal he found from a faraway region. Anyways, after the 3 days are up, everybody gathers together as Red goes back to challenge Surge. Surge taunts the kid, asking if he's gotten new, stronger Pokemon, and Red says that no, he's technically still using the same team from last time. Well, if that's the case, I'll send out mine, as he sends out an Electrode, while Red brings out a newly evolved Beedrill. Because Beedrill has actual movement compared to when it was a Kakuna, it's actually able to dodge Electrode's attacks way easier. Using Poison Jab a couple of times, Beedrill's able to poison Electrode, following it up with a Venoshock to deal double damage. Finally, taking a page from Ash, Beedrill wraps up the ball Pokemon using String Shot and drags it to the roof before smacking it down, allowing Gravity to take the final blow. Surge's second mon is Jolteon, and Red decides to swap out Beedrill for Eevee. This unfortunately plays out much like it did before, with Eevee getting more hits in than before, but still overall outmatched. During the match, Red orders a tackle while Jolteon goes in for a Thunder Fang. Eevee turns to look at Red before rushing at Jolteon, but as it's running, a golden aura appears around it. When they clash, a giant explosion occurs, leaving both Pokemon on the floor fainted. Everybody is super confused on what move Eevee just used. Brock and Surge even mistake it for Volt Tackle at first. However, when Red checks his Pokédex, it's a new move called the VV Volley. Their next mons are Beedrill versus Raichu, and unfortunately thanks to static, Beedrill gets paralyzed. Because of this, it makes hitting Raichu a lot harder. While it's able to poison the mouse Pokemon, Raichu gets the last laugh as it defeats it with a Mega Kick. Red's final mon is Charmeleon. With the Fire Lizard now being stronger than before, it's able to go back and forth with Raichu a lot more. Red decides to finish this gym battle by combining two of Charmeleon's new moves. First, he has Charmeleon use a smoke screen that covers the entire arena. Even though Raichu can't see that well, it can still see the light from Charmeleon's tail, meaning a couple of Thunderbolts nearly hit them. But Red's fine with this as he pulls out his trump card. He orders Charmeleon to use the move Dig. With the light from the tail gone, Raichu doesn't really know where Charmeleon is. And after 2 hits from Dig, Raichu is taken out. With Raichu knocked out, Red is declared the winner. Red is so overjoyed that he picks up Charmeleon and does a little spin. With the Thunder Badge in hand, they decide to leave, and as they're exiting the gym, Ash explains to Misty and Brock that Oak was the one that suggested using the TM that was given to Red to use it to teach Charmeleon how to learn Dig. They make another quick trip to the Pokemon Center, and after that, they decide to leave. Passing by the harbor, our group spot a luxury liner. The group decides to go take a closer look. They all talk about how relaxing and fun it would be to ride such a big cruise ship, but unfortunately Brock brings up the sad reality that they can't afford it. Just then, 2 girls appear and give the gang free tickets to partake in a Pokemon trainer party that's being held on board the St. Anne. Red looks at the ticket in his hand and questions why anyone would just give away free tickets like this. But when he looks over at the others, they're already halfway up the ship. Not wanting to get left behind, he follows. On board the St. Anne, they notice a couple of battles going on, so our heroes join in. Ash faces off against the gentleman, while Red faces off against a snotty little kid. Misty and Brock even join in, with Brock battling a girl with an oddly colored Butterfree, while Misty faces off against a trainer with an oddly colored Magikarp. The twins go on to win a few battles and earn quite a win streak. Just as both of them are feeling great about themselves, 2 trainers come out of the crowds. They are shocked to see both Gary and Leaf, asking what are they doing here. Leaf, with a warm smile, says that she got her ticket from some guy named Bill. She stops some dude and his Meowth from stealing data from him. He was so thankful that Bill just handed this ticket to her, and she didn't want to waste it, so she's here. Gary says much like them, he got invited. However, if he knew they were gonna allow such pathetic trainers here, he wouldn't have bothered showing up. Ash is quick to anger, but Leaf steps in saying that there's no way of knowing that, especially since the 4 of them have never battled each other. Red states that she's right, so let's settle this, Gary. The brown-haired kid in a tired voice tells them that it's pointless, because they all know who's the best trainer in Kanto. But whatever, I guess it'll be a good warm-up match. Ash is even more upset because he wanted to be the one to teach Gary a lesson. Leaf joyfully tells him that she's also itching for a fight, so they're gonna battle each other. Ash scoffs, saying, fine, whatever, she'll be good enough, I guess. Both battles will be a one-on-one. So for Redsmon, he chooses Charmeleon, while Gary goes the type advantage route and chooses Golduck. This is a problem as Charmeleon doesn't have anything super effective against Golduck. Plus it can't use Dig in this situation because they're on a boat. So until Red can come up with some strategy, it can only attack using Flamethrower and Scratch. Red does eventually notice that when Flamethrower and Hydro Pump clash, it creates a bit of steam. So next time both attacks clash, Red tells Charmeleon to keep using Flamethrower. And with Gary thinking that he'll just eventually overpower the Flamethrower if he keeps using Hydro Pump, plays along, eventually covering the arena in steam. On top of that, he uses Smokescreen and the general area where Golduck would be, just for a little extra insurance. With Charmeleon basically vanishing into the fog, it starts hitting Golduck from multiple sides with Scratch. Every time they use Scratch, it becomes stronger and stronger, till the move itself becomes Dragon Claw, knocking out the Golduck. Meanwhile, in Ash's battle, his Metapod has been beaten by Leaf's Pidgeotto. After the battle is over, a Pikachu pops out of one of her balls, which leads it to get an earful from her as she screams for it to get back in the ball. After Leaf gets electrocuted and she manages to get the mouse back into its ball, she joins our gang in stuffing their faces at the all-you-can-eat buffet. While they're eating, Red introduces Leaf to Misty and Brock, explaining to them that much like Gary, she was a friend that grew up in Pallet Town alongside them. She would always get them in trouble as she always somehow convinced them to follow her plans. More often than not would include them being the fall guys. Ash then perks up asking how she was able to start her journey if they took all the starters. Leaf pouts, claiming that after they left, she begs Professor Oak for a Pokemon of her own, and he did happen to have one more Pokemon, a cute little Pikachu. Her and her partner are the best of friends, and almost on cue, Pikachu pops out of its ball and electrocutes her again, before Leaf manages to recall him. Brock then brings up that they don't really look like it, and defeatedly she says that, to be honest, they're really not that close, as Pikachu doesn't like being in its ball, and she doesn't like carrying Pokemon in the open like that. She then quickly changes the subject and asks the twins if they're gonna be partaking in next season's World Coronation series. Ash chimes in saying that he's definitely signing up for it. As for Red, he's still not sure. Leaf claims that if that's the case, then next season they'll be rivals as well. Just then, Team Rocket reveals themselves and begins sucking up people's Pokeballs. Obviously, none of our heroes are gonna stand for that, so they start fighting back, which spurs the other trainers to start fighting back as well. Gary even regroups with our gang, and they quickly start getting rid of every grunt except the main trio. During the big commotion, James is able to catch one Pokeball, meaning that they're technically not leaving empty-handed. As everybody's running for the lifeboats, Team Rocket stops our gang from getting to them. They want their Pokemon. It's the least they can do since they've embarrassed them so many times and ruined the boss's plans. Red, Leaf, Gary, and Ash raise their Pokeballs ready to fight. However, a wave crashes into the boat, causing them to let them go. So they and two of Team Rocket's Pokeballs go rolling down the hallway. All 9 of them decide to put up a temporary truce and go after the balls. Thanks to the waves, 2 of the balls that Team Rocket were chasing end up going downstairs, while our gang are eventually able to grab the other 4 Pokeballs. But before they can make sure it's their Pokemon inside, another wave hits the ship, sending our heroes into another room and knocking them out. The Saint Anne then sinks, with all of them aboard. Sometime later, they awaken to find themselves several miles under the ocean's surface. While looking for an exit, they come across Team Rocket, and because they technically still have that truce up, they decide to work together to find an exit. Misty says that the easiest way would be to exit through the top of the ship, as it would provide the least water resistance. With no other good idea, they start making their way up. Red and Brock are the only sensible ones here, as Ash and Gary are always arguing with each other. Leaf and Misty are always arguing with Team Rocket, which makes progress real slow. Because of this, they're not even halfway there when the ship starts to begin tilting. So everybody grabs onto a water type and cuts a hole through the wall. Although the water pressure is insane, almost all the water types are able to swim through it and make it to the surface. After climbing onto a makeshift platform, James gets pissed off as Magikarp and kicks it into the ocean, where it evolves and calls the other Gyarados. Using Dragon Rage, they create a powerful cyclone. As it approaches, Red and Brock yell at everybody to start paddling. However, Misty states that she's heard that no one's ever been able to escape something like this. Ash yells out that they can escape as he lets out Abra, telling it to teleport them away. Unfortunately for them, Abra is sleeping once again, so the water vortex sucks them up. Our heroes try to stick together by grabbing each other's hands, but the force is too much, as they start letting go one by one. First Leaf, then Gary, and Ash lets go of Brock, who's holding on to Red. But before he can let go of Misty, Abra finally wakes up and uses all of its stored power to teleport Ash and Misty away. Sometime later, when Red awakens, he notices he's in a bed, confusing the hell out of him. And it doesn't help that he's not feeling so good. Brock and Nurse Joy then walk in delighted to see that he's awake. Red asks what happened and where are they? Brock explains that a fisherman saw him floating in the sea. The man pulled them out and brought him to the nearest Pokemon Center, which happened to be in Lavender Town. Red's memory then starts to come back as he asks about the others. Brock gives a saddened look, saying that he doesn't know. He hasn't heard from the others. Red is quick to get onto his feet, saying that they should be out there looking for him. Unfortunately, his feet give out, and as Brock's helping him back onto the bed, Nurse Joy tells him that he needs to rest first before he can do anything. Because of his dehydration, he had developed a fever. Red is both sad and angry as he wants to go out and find him, but he knows in his current state, he would be nothing but a burden. Red pulls out his Rotom phone and tries to give Ash a call. However, it says the number is out of range. Disheartened but not willing to give up just yet, he tries to call Leaf, who does manage to pick up. She informs him that her and Gary had washed up on Cinnabar. He quickly asks if they've seen his little brother and Misty. Leaf unfortunately informs him that they haven't seen them yet. After saying he's glad they're okay, he hangs up the phone. Despite all his sadness and anger, Red really can't afford to stay awake any longer, so he falls unconscious, with Brock sitting down next to him wondering what to do next. And that's gonna be the end for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this part like always, because I sure did. I had a lot of fun writing and editing this part. Also, I've got to plug the most recent upload. If you guys haven't seen it, go check out What If Team Aqua sponsored May. It's a collaboration between me and Pickled Dill. That's a spin-off of Ronin Charizard, and plus Ultraman's What If Giovanni sponsored Ash. So go check them out. It's great content. And that's pretty much the end of the video. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.